I doubt you could find anyone who grew up on the sounds of Motown in the 60s and 70s who would disagree that Marvin Gaye was one of the most talented and influential singer-songwriters who ever worked with the label or graced the radio airwaves. Marvin was born on April 2, 1939 in Washington, D.C., to parents church minister Marvin Gaye Sr. and Alberta Gaye, who worked as a house cleaner. He came from a very humble background. His first home was in the projects, but he would later outgrow those roots and come to have a much greater life. For a while anyway. Marvin was the second oldest of the couple's 4 children. He had 2 sisters, Jean and Zila, and 1 brother, Frankie Gaye. He also had 2 half-brothers, Michael Cooper, his mother's son from a previous relationship, and Antoine Carey Gaye, who came from his father's extramarital relationship. He started singing in the church his father preached at the early age of only 4 and would sit on his father's lap and sing while his dad played the piano. That is one of the things that will make this story much more tragic as it proceeds. Although his father doted on the young boy in public, he was absolutely brutal to the child at home, often beating and whipping him for any slight thing that his father got annoyed over. He often said that if it had not been for his mother consoling him after those intense beatings, that he would have most likely committed suicide. Still, Marvin was a good kid and well liked by almost everyone who knew him, and he continued his love of singing and performing. His first chance at doing just that outside of the church came at a school play when he was only 11 years old. Mario Lanza's Be My Love. His females in the audience were loving it. In his high school year at Randall High School, he joined the Randall Junior High Glee Club, where he would perform as often as he could. It helped him take his mind off of how painful his home life was. Sometime in the mid-50s, the Gays moved into the East Capitol Dwellings public housing project in DC's Capitol View neighborhood, where he finally had a much nicer home to live in, and he was able to meet and perform with several new doo-wop groups, which was popular at the time. As Marvin grew up and became more popular, his father seemed to grow more jealous of his son and took his spite out on him in ways other than just beatings. He would often kick him out on the streets where he had nowhere to go. Marvin seeked some kind of normalcy in his life and decided to enlist in the United States Air Force. It wasn't long before he realized that he wasn't cut out for the strictness of military life, so he faked mental illness so he could be granted an honorable discharge. Not long after being out, he decided to form the vocal quartet the Marquis with his pal Reese Palmer. They were signed to OK Records by the late Bo Diddley and released one single called Wyatt Earp, which failed to chart, so the group soon disbanded and was dropped. It wouldn't be long before they were back again though. In the 50s and 60s, there was a successful band called The Moon Glows. Co-founder Harvey Fuqua hired the boys as employees because he saw potential. He was absolutely right to do so. The group changed its name to Harvey and the New Moon Glows, and relocated to Chicago. The group found work as session singers for established acts such as Chuck Berry, singing on the songs Back in the USA and Almost Grown. By 1960, the group once again disbanded. Gaye moved to Detroit, where he worked as a session drummer playing drums on several Tri-Phi releases. His big break though was right around the corner. Gaye got the chance to perform at Motown president Berry Gordy's house during the holiday season in December 1960. Impressed by the talented young performer, Gaye was soon signed with Motown subsidiary Tamla. At first, Gaye had no desire to become an R&B performer. His heart was in playing jazz standards at the time. His first single, Let Your Conscience Be Your Guide, failed to garner much attention, nor did his debut album released in May 1961 called The Soulful Moods of Marvin Gaye. He went back to work as a session performer for a while. His musical friends soon started offering him advice on how to be more entertaining on stage. It seems his initial jazz performing had put some of his fellow musicians to sleep. He took their advice for the most part, and it wasn't long before he was on his way back up again. His first taste of success came with his first R&B solo song called Stubborn Kind of Fellow, which reached number 8 on the R&B charts and number 46 on the Billboard Top 100. This had to be an amazing feeling for Marvin. Gaye got his first top 40 with the song, Hitchhike, which reached number 30 on the Hot 100. Pride and Joy became Gaye's first top 10 single after its release in 1963. From then on, he had so many hits, it would be impossible to mention them all here. He soon became a megastar not only from his solo work, but through several duets with artists such as Mary Wells and Tammy Terrell and songs like Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Your Precious Love, Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing and You're All I Need to Get By. The two became very close. In October 1967, Terrell collapsed in Gaye's arms during a performance in Farmville, Virginia, which led to a sad diagnosis. Doctors discovered she had a malignant tumor in her brain. The news broke Marvin's heart and he soon even thought about leaving the music business over it. In October 1968, he sang the national anthem during Game 4 of the 1968 World Series, held at Tiger Stadium, in Detroit, Michigan, between the Detroit Tigers and the St. Louis Cardinals. His first #1 song came the next year, I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Even with major success and selling millions of albums, he was soon butting heads with his label owner and friend Berry Gordy. The death of his dear friend in 1970 was the final straw for him. He soon left music to try his hand at football for the Detroit Lions, but the Lions knew he was an amazing vocal performer, but didn't feel he had what it took to be a player, so they respectfully declined to hire him. He soon returned to what he knew, music, and released another huge hit called, What's Going On? It wasn't before butting heads with Berry Gordy once again. Berry didn't want to release the song over its divisive political message, but Marvin knew his worth. He flat out refused to release another song until Berry released it, and he did, and just like so many others before it, it became a huge hit. Musically, Marvin had many highs and lows over the next few years. One of those highs was marrying the sister of the man who gave him his big break, but who he had also butted heads with so many times, Berry Gordy's sister, Anna Gordy. The couple managed to stay together for 10 years and went their separate ways in 1973. Gaye later married Janice Hunter in October 1977. The couple separated in 1979 and officially divorced in February 1981. Marvin was the proud father of 3 children. Marvin III, Frankie, and a daughter named Nona. He loved his kids and was very proud of them, but that happiness would prove to be short-lived. His days were numbered, but he just didn't know it yet. On the morning of April 1, 1984, at the height of his career, he decided to go home one day to visit his mother at their home in the West Adams neighborhood of Los Angeles. As he entered the home, he heard something that he had heard most of his life, his dad yelling and screaming at his mother. Since his kids had left the home, it was Marvin Sr. who took his rage out on his wife instead of the kids. He entered the bedroom to intervene on his mother's behalf and shoved his father out the door and away from the terrified Mrs. Gaye. Marvin Sr. was not going to stand for anyone telling him what to do. He went to his room and gathered his pistol, a .38 Special, which is a very powerful revolver. He cowardly shot his son twice. Once in the heart and once in the shoulder. The first shot killed his son almost instantly. Marvin Gaye, the legend of R&B, was gone forever. Marvin was cremated at Forest Lawn Memorial Park, Hollywood Hills. His ashes were scattered into the Pacific Ocean. As far as his father, he was charged with first-degree murder. The charges were later reduced to voluntary manslaughter because of a diagnosis of a brain tumor. He was given a suspended 6-year sentence in probation. He died at a nursing home in 1988. During his life, Marvin Gaye released 17 studio albums, 6 collaborative albums, 5 posthumous albums, 6 live albums, and he had gotten a chance to act in 2 documentaries and 2 television movies. If you're not familiar with his work, I highly recommend checking out some of his. He was one of a kind and he is sorely missed, even to this day. If you liked today's story, we'd love a thumbs up and for you to check out our social links below. Thanks for watching, everyone! We truly appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to pick up a Graveyard Dance mug or t-shirt below. Till next time!